Nobody wants to say it out loud yet, but the moment Stephen A. Smith leaned forward and said he would not be surprised if the Chicago Bears reached the Super Bowl this season, the entire NFL conversation tilted on its axis, because that statement doesn't just challenge expectations, it attacks the comfort zone of how fans, analysts, and even sportsbooks decide who is allowed to dream in December. This isn't supposed to be happening. The Bears aren't supposed to be here. A rookie quarterback isn't supposed to look this fearless. A team that Vegas pegged as an 8.5 win afterthought isn't supposed to be staring down a division title with 2 games left. And yet here we are, with Chicago sitting in the driver's seat of the NFC North, forcing the league to confront an uncomfortable possibility. What if this isn't a cute story? What if this isn't a feel-good run? What if this is real? That's the nerve Stephen A. touched, and that's why the reaction has been so intense, because the idea of Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson crashing the Super Bowl party feels reckless to some, insulting to others, and intoxicating to Bears fans who haven't felt this kind of hope in years. The pushback is instant, the skepticism loud, the warnings familiar. Young quarterback, too many turnovers to rely on. Defense you don't trust to get a stop when it matters. Luck always runs out. And yet every time someone says those words, the Bears just keep winning, keep finding ways, keep producing moments that force the conversation to restart from scratch. That's what makes this debate explosive, because it's no longer about whether the Bears are good, it's about whether the rest of the NFC is ready to deal with them. This all blew up on First Take as the conversation shifted to the NFC North, where the numbers themselves already tell a shocking story. With 2 games to go, Chicago holds an 89% chance to win the division, while Green Bay clings to a slim 11% hope. A Bears win at San Francisco would seal their first division title since 2018, and that context alone reframes everything. When the question was posed about whether a Bears Super Bowl appearance would be surprising, the answers split the room in a way that perfectly captured the league's uncertainty. Jason admitted he would be surprised, not as a knock, but as an acknowledgement of how fast this has happened, how ahead of schedule this feels, and how teams like the Rams and Seahawks still look more complete on paper. Then Stephen A. fired back without hesitation, making it clear he would not be surprised at all, and that's where the story ignited. If you're enjoying these deep dives into the NFL's most controversial debates, make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave a like, because this Bears conversation is only getting louder as the playoffs approach. At the heart of Stephen A.'s argument is something that doesn't show up neatly in standings or betting odds, and that's momentum paired with identity. He points to the Bears being the most explosive run team in the NFL, with 64 runs of 10-plus yards, a stat that isn't just impressive, it's foundational. That's not a fluke number, that's a philosophy. It's a formula that mirrors exactly how the Eagles won the Super Bowl last year, and Stephen A. is unapologetic about drawing that parallel. Not comparing teams, not crowning champions, but reminding everyone that there is a recent blueprint for how this works. You run the ball with authority. You let your quarterback make plays without fear. You create turnovers. And sometimes, yes, you get lucky. The onside kick, the bounce, the moment that swings a game. Stephen A. leans into that reality instead of running from it, because luck has always been part of championship runs, whether people want to admit it or not. The Chiefs were called lucky. The Eagles were called lucky. Every champion hears it, and the Bears are hearing it now. The pushback comes fast, and it's rooted in caution. Too many takeaways to rely on. A young quarterback in his first playoff run. A defense that lives on chaos instead of consistency. The fear isn't that the Bears can't win a game. It's that they can't win 3 or 4 in a row against elite competition without the breaks going their way every single time. That's the concern being voiced, especially when people talk about seeing them in San Francisco at the end of the year. It's not disrespect, it's skepticism born from experience. And yet, every time Caleb Williams steps into a high-leverage moment, that skepticism gets quieter. What has changed the tone of this conversation dramatically is the way Caleb Williams is making his plays. This isn't reckless improvisation without structure. This isn't blind confidence. As the tape breakdown shows, he's going through progressions, resetting his feet, reading linebackers, confirming blitzers post-snap, and then placing the football in spots that only his receiver can touch. the throw to force overtime, the throw to win the game. These aren't routine completions. They're high degree of difficulty moments that define quarterbacks in January. The arrogance to even attempt those throws is what separates game managers from difference makers, and that's why people inside the league are starting to shift their language. They're not just talking about what the Bears do well. They're talking about how calm their quarterback looks when everything is on the line. Ben Johnson's role in this cannot be overstated, and it's another reason Stephen A's take hits so hard. This isn't a team freelancing its way into wins. This is a coaching staff that understands exactly who they are. The run game isn't just about breaking off explosive plays. It's about keeping drives alive. When a deep shot fails, you're not staring at 2nd and 10 with momentum dying. You're in 2nd and 6. You're still dictating terms. That's the hidden advantage of being an explosive running team. And it's why this offense can stay on schedule even when the quarterback isn't lighting up the stat sheet. The Bears don't need perfection. They need control, and right now, they have it. The debate around the rest of the NFC North only sharpens the Bears' rise. Green Bay is discussed as a well-coached team with scoring potential, but injuries loom large. Jordan Love banged up, Malik Willis banged up, Micah Parsons gone, Devontae Wyatt gone. In the playoffs, those missing pieces don't just matter, they decide games. The idea of Green Bay winning 3 straight road games without those anchors feels like too much to ask, and that reality quietly clears space at the top of the division. Detroit, once expected to rule the NFC again, has slid into disappointment, struggling to beat good teams, leaking defensively, and falling well short of preseason expectations. The Lions losing both coordinators is part of the story, but the bottom line is simple. They haven't been who people thought they were, and the Bears took advantage. Zooming out, the broader league context makes Stephen A's stance even more provocative. When the Super Bowl odds came up, the Bears sitting with the 12th shortest odds despite being the 2nd seed in the NFC felt like a slap to some and a warning to others. 11 teams seen as more likely to win it all, even with Chicago's position and momentum. The reasoning is familiar. New on the scene, defense you don't fully trust, turnovers that might regress. Other teams with more established playoff resumes. And yet, even as those concerns are voiced, there's an undercurrent of uncertainty in the analysts' own words. Because while everyone talks about trusting defenses that can get stops, the Bears keep forcing mistakes. While everyone warns about luck balancing out, Chicago keeps finding itself on the right side of the moment. The defensive critique is the most legitimate and the most dangerous. The fear is not that the Bears can't make plays, it's that they can't consistently stop a disciplined offense that refuses to hand them opportunities. Can they hold someone to 9 yards when 10 is needed? Can they survive a game where the ball doesn't bounce their way? Those are fair questions, and they're the same ones people asked about other champions before the answers arrived in January. The irony, as one voice pointed out, is that creating turnovers is exactly what defenses preach every single week. It's the goal, it's the obsession, and yet when a team actually does it at an elite level, the conversation flips to whether it's sustainable. What makes this Bears story so compelling is that it lives in that tension between belief and doubt. Last year, they were on the wrong end of the miracle. This year, they're the ones cashing in the miracle. History says things balance out. Momentum says ride the wave. Stephen A's refusal to be surprised isn't blind faith. It's an acknowledgement that the NFL rarely follows the script people want it to follow. Teams get hot, quarterbacks grow up fast, coaches find formulas that travel. And when that happens, the line between contender and pretender blurs until it disappears. This isn't about declaring the Bears champions. It's about accepting that the path is there. Home games, a dominant run game, a quarterback unafraid of the moment, a locker room feeding off belief. When Stephen A says Caleb plus Ben equals Super Bowl, he's not predicting destiny. He's challenging the league to explain why it can't happen. And so far, the answers sound more like hope than certainty. Because the Bears keep checking boxes they weren't supposed to check yet, and every week they do it, the idea of them standing on that stage stops sounding crazy and starts sounding inevitable enough to scare everyone watching.